A very good morning to you. How are you doing? It's Monday morning, a brand new day. We thank the Lord for this opportunity to be on air. And every Monday morning, we have Motivation Monday. Rejection is what we want to talk about today. I don't know if you've ever been in a season where you experienced rejection. It can be quite traumatizing. It can actually shift your whole life. Whether it's rejection in the family, maybe you feel that your siblings are more preferred than you, or maybe you are a stepchild and you feel rejected and sometimes you're even mistreated, or maybe it is in the community that you live in. Maybe you came from another community, you came into this community, and it feels like, you know what, the people in this community don't love me. Yeah, there are various examples we can give. Even in the workplace, you know, you can feel rejected amongst friends. In the church, you can also feel rejected. Question is, how do you deal with that rejection? That's what we're going to be looking at today, because if you don't deal with it, it can derail your life, it can derail your purposes, it can derail your potential. How do you overcome that rejection? A couple of weeks ago, I think it was 2 Mondays ago, we got to hang out with a gentleman known as Anthony. Anthony was basically sharing his life story with us, and it was a life of rejection from beginning. From the time he was in the womb, he was not wanted. And man, his story was one of those stories you listen to with a handkerchief next to you because tears will just flow. It was a sad, sad story. We tried to get him back because we had not finished his story, but he was not available. But I want to remind you a couple of things he said, even as we get into this discussion, because that forms the basis of the discussion we are having today. So have a listen to this.
I'm not full. And now there's a time now, the step-grandmother or the woman who was bringing me up started now telling me face to face, you know, that you are a child of a prostitute. And now she could speak it directly to my face until the time I was in class 7, I had to start against that speaking towards me. She could tell me directly to my face that you're a child of a prostitute and your mom was aborting you. You survived. My mom died. She died out of trying to abort me.
Wow.
And it brought, that's why even these interviews sometimes is becoming uncomfortable because I'm feeling the wounds coming back afresh again. Because I could remember those words well, and it brought a lot of confusion in my life, sexually, psychologically, in a whole sum of life. It all scattered me in many places. The culture I got myself in is the culture that don't promote someone to speak, you know? If something is happening, and that is the biggest thing that for me, I think it could have brought suicide. It could have brought, because you're not sharing it with anyone, you don't want to reveal what you're passing through, even neighbors, because you be told that you are exposing the family, and you've been neglected more. And I could feel things just piling in my heart. I could feel just pain continue piling in my heart, asking many questions.
So that's part of the interview we had with Anthony 2 Mondays ago. And so this week we pick up on that and we talk about rejection. How do you deal with it? So this morning, if you are going through a season where you feel rejected, or you have gone through a season where you just experience rejection left, right, and center, talk to us. If you have questions, you can ask them via 20316 for SMS, WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. I've got an amazing guest. I will be introducing her to you in the next short while. She will help us to understand what rejection is and how to overcome it. And if you don't overcome it, what are some of the effects that it can have on your life? This morning, we have Nancy Kabiru. Nancy Kabiru is a psychologist from Hisia Psychology Consultants. How are you doing, Nancy?
I'm very well, Jemo. Hi.
Hi, karibu sana. Good to have you on the show again.
Asante, thanks for the invite.
Great. So today I want us to look at how to deal with rejection and how to overcome it. Let's begin by defining, when we talk about rejection, what are we talking about?
Now, rejection is the act of pushing someone away or something away, all right? So you don't want it close to you, And so you make every effort to keep it away or far from you. And that someone or something may be aware that they are not needed or they are not wanted.
Yeah.
So what it does, it affects this person psychologically in their reasoning, and it affects even their emotional reasoning, okay? Because they will feel like they don't belong. When they see you, they will have anxiety. You, the person who pushes them away,
Yes.
they will have anxiety. So you affect them psychologically and you affect them emotionally. Most of the time, the people who reject others have also gone through rejection.
Oh.
So
Okay.
they use to exert power or authority or try to redeem themselves. It's usually subconscious.
Okay.
They try to treat people the way they were treated. And they're usually coming from a point of pain and anger.
So these are people who never dealt with the way they were rejected. They never got over it. They never, got to a place where maybe they could talk about it and overcome it. So now it's manifesting in their life by them rejecting others as well.
Exactly. And that is why it's very necessary for someone who's gone through rejection and they are aware of it to actually deal with that emotional pain.
Okay. I'm just wondering, Nancy, can rejection be perceived? Can it be something that maybe because I have my own issues, my perception is that everywhere I go, people are rejecting me, but that's not really the reality? Is that possible?
It can be perceived if you have experienced at one point some sort of rejection.
Okay.
And this is common for someone who has gone through probably a heartbreak. Okay. So in the next relationship, they have a perception of rejection, so they get out before even the expression of love. They are not able to form attachment.
Wow.
Anytime they face that fear, they reject. So it can be perceived.
So they actually end up sabotaging the relationship because in their mind it will end up. Or are these the kind of people who I've heard stories of people who, because they were, what's the right word? What is the word when a relationship is cut off? What's the word? I've forgotten the word. For lack of a better word, let me use the word dumped, because some people use that word. I didn't want to use that one, but let me use that one. Because you were dumped before, then you get into this relationship, but because you have that fear, you end up being the one who dumps. Because Najua, it will happen to me, let me do it before. Is that the thing?
And realize there, the perception.
Yeah.
You think, you expect, you have that anticipation. So you want to have the last word before you go through the pain.
Wow.
Yeah, so they end up sabotaging relationships. They can find somebody who means well for them.
Yeah.
But if they have similarity with a previous partner, they then will push them away. Or they will even cut off communication for no reason at all. They can cut off communication or avoid contact with you as an individual.
Wow. I'm just wondering, are there different levels of rejection? And the reason I'm asking this is, the clip we listened to earlier from Anthony, I hosted last week, but one, I thought his was extreme, where you are outrightly told every day you're not wanted. Your mother was a prostitute, you're the child of a prostitute, your father, they eat people where they come from, you're not wanted here. His was just a level I've never even heard of before. So I'm just wondering, are there different levels of rejection?
Okay, so I'll begin by saying rejection pain is like physical pain. Jemo, if you knock your toe on a door, and then somebody else breaks their arm, the pain you feel, the intensity, and the pain that person feels could almost be the same. In the brain, it's registered the same. So rejection is registered psychologically or mentally as physical pain. However, when someone has been through rejection over and over and over again, what happens is that they are exposed to the trauma. It becomes now a trauma they are living with.
Okay.
So depends. Is it frequent or has it just happened once?
What about the time that it happened? There are those people who face rejection when they are little children. And there are those people who face rejection when they are teenagers. Others begin to face rejection when they are adults. Is there a difference in the three?
There's a difference. If it happens when you're a child, especially if you're below 9 years old, it affects your form or mode of attachment. Remember, at that time, your value system is being developed.
Yes.
So when you have gone through rejection, you will either have discipline challenges or your perception and first contact, any person who is your immediate contact, will always be an enemy. So you'll never be able to form that secure attachment. If it happens later on in life, it will affect your self-esteem. Maybe for a period of time, You can overcome that, but maybe for a period of time. And it can also cloud your judgment of situations. But remember, the one who got rejection as a young child and they've grown with it, they'll think they'll look at the world from that negative perspective. So anything to them has to always be a mistake or a problem, and they cannot be able to, make meaning. You may tell them, I love you, but they're like, why? Why do you love me? I don't deserve love, Or they'll be like, why are you lying? This world is full of liars. Why are you trying to lie? Do you even know what that means? And you'll find sometimes even the street urchins, most of them have gone through rejection. And that's why they have no fear in stealing or even rubbing someone with fecal matter, because they're like, I'm not even being unfair. I've gone through so much in my life for you to think this is a problem. All I need to do is survive.
You talk about the street urchins, and you remind me of a friend of mine. One time he was trying to reach out to them and to preach to them. And one of them said, you come here with all these big stories of yours. You give us a loaf of bread and a packet of milk. But in the evening, you go home. You have a bed, you have a family, you're just trying to gain mileage through us. If you're really serious, you come to Ishinawayapa. The guy packed his bags and lived with them in the streets for 2 months. 2 months.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And he was able to reach out to them. I think in doing that, they felt that he embraced them and accepted them. I have a question coming in from Carol. We talked about children. Carol is asking, what about children who are adopted? How do you deal with the ones who, you're adopting them, but they already come feeling rejected?
So adopting is a sensitive topic. Depends. What age have you adopted this child? Okay. If the child, as I said, is below 9 years, we say disciplining and correcting a child before they get to 9 years is very, very easy. If they 9 years, you require to go through psychological support, or you need to have a mentor who walks with you through that journey. Somebody other than yourself, because this person will not believe that you, the immediate caregiver, means well for them. And they already know, at that time, they already know that they don't belong. So they'll come with that perception. So when you go through a journey with a mentor or with a psychologist, someone who is pointing out, this is what I expect you to go through, and when you feel angry, it is okay. However, take notice of what that anger is telling you about. What are the situations that make you angry? How does it feel? So they will be able to say, I feel angry, I feel sad, I feel like I don't belong. So they'll use these negative words to describe it. Then you can, there'll be the mentor or the psychologist can also ask, what does that mean for you? What kind of life do you want? Do you think it is achievable? You understand? So they'll be able to go with them through the psychological process. And you, the person adopting, you should not be in a, bubble in a glass ceiling. Be open that this person will have a myriad of emotions and behaviors. And you should be flexible and willing to help them be able to overcome that. Because remember where they're coming from, the things they have been told not to. You may even tell that child, it's okay, you can sleep on a bed. You'll find they've pulled their beddings to the floor.
Yeah.
Because that's what they're used to, and that's the comfort they're used to. Okay?
Okay.
So if I can extrapolate that maybe to an individual who is an adult in a relationship, you may find someone has queer behaviors even when you give them comfort.
Yes.
It could be because they've come from rejection.
Ooh.
You may find maybe your wife, you married her, but she can't use a normal, porcelain cup. She will use a plastic cup or a plastic plate. Could be because of where they are coming from and they are still processing that.
Wow.
So it is important to pick these cues.
Wow. That's a huge one. That's a huge one.
Yeah.
And there's something else I've seen, especially in this day of social media. You know, social media is about being liked and being followed. And when no one is following you and no one is liking you, sometimes we take it personally. And I'm sure, Nancy, you are part of several WhatsApp groups. This is a WhatsApp group scenario that we'll talk about shortly. And I've had many people complain about it, that me nikituma post, no one says anything about it. But so-and-so akituma, everybody is commenting. Everybody is commenting. And I've even seen people leave WhatsApp groups because of that. And I keep wondering, is that really rejection or is it perceived? How do you deal with something like that? We'll talk about that shortly. It's 20 minutes after 8. We are talking about rejection and how to handle it and how to overcome it. If you have any questions for us, 20316 SMS line, WhatsApp number 0786316316. I love what Nancy has said. You know, some of the cues. Maybe you're dealing with rejection and you don't even know it. You know, maybe because you are not accepted, there's a certain way you live your life, but you haven't even recognized that it's because you're coming from a place of rejection that you haven't dealt with. So let's go back to that whole issue of social media, WhatsApp, because a lot of young people have put a lot of faith and a lot of time in social media, and when things like that happen, it affects them like seriously. How do you deal with that?
You know, interestingly, even if you are rejected by, someone you consider an enemy, say they've called, there's a rally. I'll use this, if a politician and you're not fond of them, they call a rally and you happen to be around and they're giving out probably merchandise, they're giving out shukas, they're giving out t-shirts, and you don't like them. And you miss out on that. You will feel rejected.
Oh.
Okay.
Even if you don't like them.
And you have not invested in that at all.
Wow.
Now imagine in a WhatsApp or a social media platform where you've invested your time, you've invested some relationship. If there are no people who affirm, and most of the time these are high school groups or college groups or, neighborhood groups, you feel, or parenting groups, you don't find anyone who comments on you, you could feel rejected. It's not perceived because maybe other people get more comments than you do. And it could be because of popularity. So at that point, what is that, in lack of commenting on your post making you feel, and what can you do about it? The idea is, what can you do about it? Because it points out to a perspective that you have not probably built on relationships. Okay? So you need to make contact. You need to physically know or be known to a few people there, because people will relate to that which they are familiar with. So those who get more comments, probably they are more familiar with the ones replying to their comments. And you are not familiar with them. So you need to create relationship.
Okay. Listen to this question. This one is about parental love and neglect. Please talk about the rejection brought about by one parent, especially the fathers, when they fail to give their children attention as they are growing up. And this lady says, personally, I have a difficulty relating to men because of my father's rejection towards me.
Okay. So interesting that she points that out. And, rejection can be even when you have everything provided. It could be emotional rejection in a household. Now, the role of a father is security in a household. Naturally, you'd expect if anything happens, the father is the one that protects the family.
Yes.
And he's also supposed to biblically provide direction for the household. Okay? So the rejection this person is feeling is that there was no direction provided, and there was no contact or relationship with that, male figure, or it can be a biological father or a male figure who is of authority within a household. So what this person could be going through, one is fear of rejection, and they reject people before. So that is why they will not form relationship with a male partner.
Yeah.
They could also be going through self-rejection, okay? Or self-sabotaging themselves, feeling as though they are not worthy to be loved by an opposite gender, okay? And they will form closer relationship with the same gender, but not the opposite gender. And they may not even be appreciative of the role the opposite gender may play in their life, or they cannot see it at all. They could also be having an avoidant attachment style, where when there is contact made, you run away, okay?
Yes.
So you want to control from far, but you don't want to be close, or you don't want to be answerable or responsible in this relationship. They could also have an insecurity, okay?
Yeah.
So insecurity in terms of how will their emotions, how will their well-being be taken by this person. We don't know the context clearly, so I'm just playing from I'm just making guesses. The rejection from a father could have been in the sense that the father never provided, never paid for your school fees, or never gave you a good life, and so you learned how to be fully independent and not depend on this person. However, you feel that you have a certain need, but you will not let that person closer to you.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you find people who've gone through rejection being extreme people pleasers.
Oh, okay.
Or they will have an obsessive personality disorder, in that they want everything to be perfect. Now, when you, and in their life, so they'll control within their life, and they'll control that of a partner, and the partner may not be able to keep up with that.
Okay.
Now, after I've talked about all those things, you can see the effects of rejection in a person's life.
Yeah. Wow. It's interesting because several people are responding to that whole issue. There's another lady here who says, that is me. I was rejected in my first relationship a few months to the wedding, where he left and he married someone else. That was 25 years ago. I was so traumatized and always think I will be rejected again. To date, I'm in my late 40s. I have never been in a meaningful relationship. Once a man seems to come close, I take off.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? Is it possible to overcome that?
Yes, it is possible to overcome it. As much as I acknowledge here in this relationship, the investment was not that just individual.
Yeah.
When you're starting out and you're with someone, not everyone is aware of an investment with this person.
Very true.
Okay? So for her, there was that investment in the community being aware, family meeting your personal expectation and family expectation, having an imagination of a happy ever after, and then this person pulling away from.
Yeah.
I can imagine with the wedding planning, even the family of friends of the person or the man were also involved. So for you to learn, you can even think, you may think that you're not worthy.
Yeah.
So what that does is that it affects your perception. So if you go through therapy, you will be able to overcome that pain, that trauma. Okay, you will also be able to look at how you perceive things. Okay, because that was one case in maybe 100 that has happened. So it doesn't it will be repetitive again in your life. And putting into perspective what you expect and what your values are, you could find that probably you have had meaningful relationships, but because of that fear, you don't allow the person to fully come into your life, or you want to have control of that relationship. Yeah. And a lot of people would then say you're not submissive, and maybe they can't keep up with that.
Okay, listen to this. We'll answer this one shortly. This one says, good morning, Family Radio. Thank you for the topic of discussion today. I have a wife who was rejected by the family of her boyfriend in her previous relationship before we met. Now, what I don't understand is each and every time we have issues in the family, she packs and leaves, and she acts so bitterly. Does this mean that what she went through in her previous relationship is still affecting her? How can I go about it? Because even now she's left. It's almost a month. We'll talk about that shortly. It's about 26 minutes before we get to Saa Tatu Asubuhi. If you have any questions for us today, we are talking about dealing with rejection on Motivation Monday. SMS line is 20316. WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. So back to this question, Nancy. This gentleman is saying, you know, the wife was rejected by the family of her former boyfriend before they met. What he doesn't understand is that every time they have issues in the family, she packs and leaves. Anakusanya anaenda.
Yeah.
Could it be the effects of the rejection she faced from her previous relationship?
It can be the effect, and I would want to know what kind of family she comes from. Okay?
Yeah.
Because that could also form a basis. Sometimes people choose partners because they believe those partners come from a more better background and they provide you more security than your background. So that is one perception. The other reason I would think that she would pack and go is because the role of a family in a marriage, you know, a marriage is between two people, but you require the support of the family.
Very true.
So the family provides the direction, okay? So depending on why you are rejected, maybe you are rejected because you have, child issues, you're not able to bear children, or you've taken some time, or it could be because they look at your social status and they feel you're not educated enough, or you don't have a job that, that you have an income as much as your husband, or they don't see a role you can play. Okay, so depending on the reason and the fact that that family did not provide security for this person, what is happening is that the person now creates a narrative in their mind. Okay, and so they cannot ever imagine another family can play the role of advising. So even when you have domestic challenges within the household, they don't know who to run to.
Yeah.
So they run away from the pain, okay? And that's why they pack their bags and go. And it's because at this point, their attachment is ambivalent, okay? Psychologically, they don't feel secure. Emotionally, they don't feel secure. What this gentleman can do is try to understand what is the love language of this lady, okay? Do I provide it the way she wants, okay? Because there are 5 love languages. For this person to feel comfortable and to have some contact comfort, okay? What is it that you need to do for them to see that you fully care?
Okay.
If the relationship is young, these are hurdles that any relationship would go through, okay? So just keep affirming and reassuring the person that you are worthy to me and my family values you.
Okay.
And with time, they will find comfort in even accepting. You can also place them in situations where you give them an avenue to shine for your family, okay? Because they could be looking for that. So if it is in a family meeting, don't take all the glory as an individual. Allow to, praise your wife or praise this woman. Say, oh, and by the way, if somebody compliments your shirt, like your shirt today, Jemo, is very nice.
It is because of Wajiko.
Compliment. Exactly. Exactly. So, pick that out. Say, oh, yeah, I like it. And she went out of her way to get me this shirt. It makes me feel confident. You will boost her morale. if you have friends that visit you or you have events that you attend with her, ensure that you compliment her effort. And even if they are insignificant, try and compliment, because that will boost her confidence.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
One more here before we look at effects of rejection if they are not dealt with, and also what possible solutions can you offer. This one says, my husband was abandoned as a child. His father went on to have a different family. He is the only son, and he has hated his dad's actions. Fast forward to our marriage 4 years ago, he disclosed that he had an affair. I was hurt, but his reaction was cold, and he rejected me. We live in the same house, share the same bed, but 3 years, haniongeleshi, literally, not even hello. With this lockdown, the rejection on my part is just compounded. What do you make of that?
Yeah, you can hate someone, but then you take on their habit, okay?
Oh.
So yes. Because remember, for any gender, you form contact and you form your reference, based on who you give priority.
Yes.
So if this gentleman felt that his father played a vital role in his life as much as he had a different family, he may try subconsciously to live up to the father's standards. Okay? And he may even want to experiment and experience that which made the father, have a different family.
Wow.
It's usually in the quest of finding fulfillment in life. So it is not about you, the person who's been rejected. It is about the journey that person rejecting you is going through. It speaks more of their pain than your pain. Okay?
Yeah.
So the fact that the person disclosed that he had had an affair is because they had so much mental agony. And they cannot be able to keep it away. And even their morals were conflicted. So that is why they disclose. Sometimes when we get such information, we get bitter and angry at that person. That only repulses them away, because it takes a lot of effort to even come clean. So as much as I understand, it is painful, it is hurtful, and it feels so bad to be cheated on, the person disclosing this has gone through so much agony to face you. You actually want to give them a platform. What you should maybe do is give them a platform to express themselves fully, so that you understand what is it that they were looking for in that other relationship. If you cut them short too soon, you will not find out whether there's a child out there.
Yeah.
Okay? You will not find out whether there is investment that they had made and it has gone wrong. And when you give them a platform, they trust you more. What they were looking for is trust, is attachment with that other relationship.
Wow.
When you they don't trust you at all. So walk through that journey and, your reaction. And sometimes our reaction are usually because of the parenting we were brought up with. What parenting style your parents used. So if your parents were authoritarian to you, then your way of viewing the world is in my way or the highway.
Yes.
Which puts the partner at a risk of, I'm not heard, I'm not listened, I'm not given an opportunity. If your parents were permissive, your way of viewing the world is that you let anything go. Okay? There is no limit, and you allow the other person to have their way, even if it hurts you. If they were authoritative, you have a balance.
Yeah.
So the idea is for every individual to try to have that authoritative manner where you give reasons. You tell them, you communicate, I'm not happy with this behavior. It hurts me. But what do you want out of life? Do we have a future together? Because it is important to know whether you have a future with this person or you don't.
Yeah.
If they don't express themselves, you are then also left in a limbo. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk solutions before we run out of time, because the thing is, I really can't. I don't have a lot of influence on how other people decide to treat me or how they decide to behave towards me. You know, there are people who have their own issues, like we said earlier. Maybe they faced rejection, and the only way they know how to project is to reject as well. There are others who may be jealous because of one or two reasons. Others may just be wicked in their own way. And so that is them. They have rejected me. And it's true, I've gone through the emotional pain and the hurt, and I feel rejected. But what can I do? Since I can't change them, what can I do to help myself to get out of this cocoon and this situation? Because if I don't, then it ends up affecting my life.
Yeah. So what you need, every individual who's going through rejection needs to realize the triggers. Because remember, this person is always in a state of constant anxiety.
Yeah.
Okay? So realize the triggers and come to terms with acceptance. So when you know the triggers, you know how you feel, okay? Sometimes you will even have bodily reaction. The anger will be so much that your body actually shakes.
Wow.
So, so when you come to terms with that, then you will be able to address when you're going through this anger burst. How are your relationships at that time? Do you have close friends? Do you have people you can rely on? Okay? And maybe even note it down. You can note it down on your phone. You can note it down on a notebook so that you can tell the pattern.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you do this, you make it easier to digest.
Yes.
Rather than everything boiling within you, but you cannot put a finger to that.
Yeah.
Then the second thing is working on yourself. Remember, a lot of people who've gone through rejection have a lot of people-pleasing behavior, meaning they don't give themselves self-care. They're always giving love to other people how they expect to receive it.
Yes.
So now you need to call yourself for a meeting and ask yourself, what I do to other people, is it necessary? Is it important for me to go through that treatment? Who among my friends or people who say they are family can be able to reciprocate the same?
Very true.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then you invest in those relationships. The third will be, you try to separate yourself from the failures or the things that have not worked.
Yeah.
Okay? So if, say, for example, you fail a job interview, you are not that failure. The fact that you are not picked up for a job doesn't mean that you are a failure. It means that that opportunity probably was not for you, or it was not the right time for it,
yes,
or you're not a good fit. But it's not you as a person who is a failure, okay? So like even for the lady who got rejected nearly her wedding, yes, that happened, but she's not that rejection. She's not that event. You can have a different event that is not similar to that. And it's not about you.
Yes. There's somebody who said something, and I'm just wondering whether it is part of the healing process. This gentleman says, what you forgive, you are freed from. What you don't forgive, you eventually become.
Yes.
And so even for this lady who was rejected a couple of months to the wedding, for the gentleman who was rejected by his father, could it be that they're still holding on to that heart and they've not forgiven? That's why it's still a major issue in their life.
Exactly. And I like that from the listener or the viewer. I like that point. Because when you harbor so much pain, you continue to build on the scar.
Wow.
But when you let go of anger, of, the pain, then you allow healing to take place. And you allow your view of the world to start changing.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So most of the time, accepting to forgive rejection is almost like salvation. Yeah? Yes. Yes. You're freed from all that.
Yeah.
If you have had someone say, when I got born again, I felt a load off my shoulders.
Yes.
Forgiving and letting go of this rejection is similarly the same. You let go of that negativity that you carry. A lot of people who hold on anger have health issues.
Yes.
So they'll have heart problems, they'll have digestive problems. So they have health issues. And you don't want to affect your immune system because of anger or because you've not forgiven.
I'm just wondering, but does personality have does it play out also when it comes to issues of rejection? Because there are those people who are sanguines like Okumu here, who love to talk and they love people and they love to connect. And so something small may trigger something that you feel, mbona ananiambia hivyo, maybe they don't love me. Then there are other people, they really don't care. You know, them, they can lock themselves in a room and do what they need to do. So does personality also play out on matters rejection?
It could in an adult relationship, but remember, the personality, who you become, is usually formed when you're a child. So your view of the world is usually formed by the time you are 12 years old. So depending on how you are raised or how you navigated through life can also influence how well you reject or how well you forgive or overcome this challenge. So, and there are things that you cannot change. You probably cannot change your personality, but you can adapt and invite, navigating through the world and making it easier.
Okay. We are almost out of time, Nancy. What would your parting shot be, especially to those who've been listening to us today? And what we are talking about is the reality they are living in right now. They're facing rejection. They don't know how to handle it. What would your parting shot be to them today? Wow.
Now, every challenge in life builds up on experience. So if you have gone through rejection, your emotional intelligence capacity also should go up or should go higher. Okay. If you feel that it's not gone higher and it's still at the same level, then you need to seek therapy. Okay. You need to have someone you're working with. And having gone through this challenge is only shaping your world. Have you realized or have you discovered what your purpose is here on earth? Because most of the time, people who make an impact in the world, they make it from a personal experience. Okay? So you will be able to better relate with people who've gone through similar pain and help them overcome it if you as an individual have overcome it. For you to have quality life, and for you to even love yourself fully, you need to fully let go of any hurt. And it is a personal journey that every individual should take.
Very true. Wow. Nancy Kabiru, thank you so much for finding the time to be with us today. I believe our conversation has been beneficial to somebody. Asante sana.
All right. Asante.
Awesome. We are out of time for today. Want to encourage you, my friend, even as you know, this week, ni wiki ya Easter, Jesus died for you. No, not because he rejected you, but because he wants to embrace you. And so people may reject you, but this one thing I want to leave with you: God loves you with an everlasting love. The Bible says nothing, absolutely nothing, can separate us from the love of God through Christ Jesus, our Redeemer. So you know what? Look up to the heavens, because the Maker, the Creator of heaven and earth, the beginning and the end, the Alpha and the Omega, the Almighty God, has embraced you into his family. The Bible says we have been given the spirit of adoption by which we cry out, Abba, Father. He has embraced us. Let us stand on that and be able to rebuild our life.
For this and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs, from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.